Good afternoon, my name is Marena, and today I will be presenting on Spelling Inventories, which is a diagnostic tool used to identify students' developmental spelling stages and guide word study instruction. So what are spelling inventories? Spelling inventories are quick diagnostic assessments that are designed to analyze students' knowledge of phonics, spelling patterns, and orthographic features. They typically come in three levels. There's primary, elementary, and secondary levels. One of the strengths of spelling inventories is that they assess a wide range of foundational literacy skills. This includes basic phonics such as letter sound relationships, but they also can extend into more complex orthographic patterns such as digraphs, blends, long vowel teams, syllable junctures, and even advanced derivational morphology. The inventory gives a clear picture of where a student is developmentally. One of my favorite things about these assessments is that they are aligned to developmental stages rather than strictly grade levels. The primary inventory is appropriate for kindergarten through grade 2. The elementary version typically serves grades 2 through 5, and the upper level inventory is suitable for students typically grades 6 through 12, and that can also include striving readers. A great component of this strategy is that teachers have the flexibility to not only give students the assessment based on their grade level, but the key is matching the inventory to the student's reading and spelling stage, as we want them not to necessarily be bored or frustrated if the exam is too easy or hard. And how is it administered? It's pretty straightforward, and it will take roughly maybe 8, 10, at most 15 minutes. Each inventory consists of a dictated word list. So for each word, the teacher says the word. They would then use a sentence that includes the word, and then they would repeat the word by itself again. Students write each word on a piece of paper. And if I was doing this with younger students, maybe in that primary grade or maybe even early elementary, I may stop once they miss several words in a row to avoid frustration. So if I was giving this individually and I noticed and I was watching them write and I noticed a student was really struggling and getting frustrated, I may pause the assessment, not to have them, develop anxiety with this type of assessment. And the cool part about this assessment is that it can be administered individually or in small groups, giving the teacher some flexibility on how they want to administer it. Maybe you give it just one-on-one, maybe a group of 4, or you could even make the groups a little bit larger if you wanted to get a whole class diagnostic. A few other essential administration guidelines is that you should not coach the student or overpronounce the word. It is important to say the word naturally and let the student hear it naturally in the sentence that you're reading. I also encourage students to do their best without worrying about mistakes. I can inform students that, hey, this isn't necessarily a grade on how many you did right or wrong. This is just an assessment to see where you are. Because I don't want students to get nervous or become anxious when they have to do a spelling inventory. I want it to be something not necessarily fun, but something that they don't mind doing. And again, the goal of spelling inventories isn't that it's a spelling test. It's to capture the student's developmental spelling features. So after the assessment, I would score the inventory using the feature guide, and each word contains multiple spelling features, such as digraphs or vowel teams, and I check off the features the student spelled correctly. I total the number of words mastered, and then determine the student's developmental spelling stage. We're looking for the stage where the student is using but confusing patterns, which tells us where the instruction should begin. It's kind of like when I think of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You don't want it to be too easy. You don't want it to be too hard. You want it to kind of be just right, where they are making some mistakes, but not too many mistakes where it's just frustrating them. So when reporting results, I would summarize the student's developmental stage. I would include specific features that they mastered or struggled with, and instructional implications, like what that can mean for me as the educator. Many teachers use this data to form maybe word study groups, design targeted mini lessons, and definitely to track student progress over time as well. So in this slide, I included two visuals. The visual on the left upper corner includes a list of 25 words. And then you can see next to it, I have the sentences that use the word in it. And then at the end is just the word by itself again. So for the first one, as an example, I would say bed. I hopped out of bed this morning. Bed. As you can see, I did not overpronounce any of the words. I didn't go b-e-d. I hopped out of bed this morning. You don't want to coach them through it. You want to see where they really are. I've also provided a picture of the scoring guide that I would complete while the assessment, after the assessment. And so the detailed guide serves the purpose of creating a student profile of their orthographic knowledge. If a student correctly spells maybe 20 or more of these words, I would most likely use that as a sign to maybe move up to the next level and try a more challenging word list the next time I give a spelling inventory. So why are spelling inventories important? They are incredibly useful because they provide a developmental snapshot of a student's orthographic knowledge. As I mentioned earlier, spelling inventory should be developmentally aligned. This is super beneficial, and it allows the teacher to meet the student at or near their level and not have the student be, like I mentioned, super frustrated if the words are too difficult or bored even if the words are too easy. It's also valuable because this shouldn't take a ton of time. They're quick to administer, they are fairly easy to score, and most importantly, they provide actionable information for future instruction. And as an educator in an urban setting, I know a lot of what I do is, dug into the data. Like, what does the data say? What can I be doing to improve my students' scores? But unfortunately, with all the great things that come with spelling inventories, there are some limitations, like any tool has. Unfortunately, this is not a standardized assessment, so results really shouldn't be used for high-stake decision making. Spelling inventories also should be paired with other reading and writing assessments to provide a fuller picture. Just conducting a spelling inventory on its own and not pairing anything else with it really isn't an effective way to teach literacy to students, reading or writing. So in summary, spelling inventories do offer a rich diagnostic way to gather information that can help teachers tailor literacy instruction. They highlight what students know, what they're ready to learn next, and how we can best support their spelling and reading development. Thank you very much.